I'm your host, David Hernandez Jr., and I would like to welcome you to this exciting event today where we delve into the heart of Old Bridge Township's future. We have the privilege of hearing from three remarkable individuals who represent the Republican Party in the upcoming election. I welcome our current council members who are seeking your vote for re-election: Mary Sohar, Anita Greenberg-Belli, and Eric DePalma. But before we begin, I must mention that unfortunately after 2 attempts, the Democratic Party candidates will not be able to join us. The Old Bridge Township Democratic County Committee Chair, Mr. Edward Testino, let us know last week that, quote, at this time he cannot get all of the Democratic Council candidates to be present at the same time and or to change their schedules at this late date, end quote, for today's taping. The focus of tonight's conversation is to allow each candidate to shed light on their concerns, aspirations, and agenda for our community. As we embark on this journey, we can expect a dynamic and thought-provoking exchange of ideas. Our goal is to gain a deeper understanding of each candidate's vision for Old Bridge Township and how they plan to address the pressing issues that impact the lives of its residents and its business community. I will guide the discussion by raising key questions that are of importance to the residents of Old Bridge. The team has the option to select a representative to speak for the group, or each candidate may respond. So sit back and prepare to be informed by the insights of these public servants. Together, we will explore the future of Old Bridge Township. And let us begin. Welcome, candidates.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, David.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and thank you for allowing me to host this discussion. So in the beginning of our discussion, what we're going to do is give each of you an opportunity to speak to your audience and to the voters of Old Bridge Township. So we'll start off with Council President Sohar. If you would look at the cameras and please speak to your audience, introducing yourself.
Okay, well, good evening, David. Thank you so much for hosting this. I know you have a very busy schedule, and it's really appreciated that you came out and did this for us this evening.
My pleasure.
And as far as, debate is concerned, I'm disappointed. I would have liked to have had, a spirited discussion, and I think it would have been nice for the residents to see the contrast side by side. But that being said, I'm very happy to be here myself. My name is Mary Sohar, and I've been a resident of Old Bridge since 1977. I have 3 children that were born and raised here, all went through our public school system, and I was very involved in all the PTA and things that went on in school. My daughter was drum major, a band parent, all the things that you enjoy doing with your children, and here it was wonderful. As far as career is concerned, I was manager of a diner locally for 30 years. It was called the Peter Pank Diner in Sayreville. That's where I got to know so many people from our area, and they were the ones who gave me such good insight into what was going on in town, their concerns, and it really brought me very close to the town. And then after that, I ran the motor vehicle in South Brunswick. Now that was quite interesting, and that really prepared me for residential problems and needs, concerns, customer service. But anyway, at that point, it was just a wonderful experience. So now being a council person for 14 years, I was involved a very long time here in the township, a lot invested through my late husband too, Roman Sohar. He was a councilman as well in Old Bridge, and that's how I got involved. And I've been on multiple boards, from environmental to recreation. I was a housing authority commissioner for 10 years, a lot of things, local welfare board, many, many things that have brought me very much joy. And I think I've done, a really, really good job at getting to know my residents and their needs. So that's all, Mary.
Well, thank you. What amazing accomplishments, and thank you for your 14 years of service, as well as your husband's service. We thank you. Now, Dr. Anita Greenberg-Belli, would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, first of all, I would like to say thank you, David. And it is true, you are a very busy person. I don't know how you do it all, but you do it with a smile, and I'm really grateful for that.
It's an honor.
So, my name's Dr. Anita Greenberg-Belli, and I'm happy to be here tonight. I moved to Old Bridge nearly 30 years ago with my husband, Dr. Daniel Belli. We came here because our animal hospital, East Brunswick, is close, and also I had many clients already. I had a mobile veterinary service, and so I had many clients already in Old Bridge, and I thought this would be a great place to be and start a family. So we moved here. We had our daughter a few years later, Marta. She graduated from the school system here, and I got involved at a young age, obviously with the PTA, and she was very athletic. Started out in Little League at Sarahwood South, so she was very athletic, and she played sports all through school. So then from there, my husband and I have the East Brunswick Animal Hospital, and one of the things that I would say that we're also very proud of is that many people, students from Old Bridge High School have come to work at the Animal Hospital. In fact, 5 graduates from Old Bridge High School have gone on to be veterinarians from working with us. So we take a lot of pride in that we were able to mentor them through this and guide them, and we're very happy for them. Then when I got moved here, I got involved with the open space referendum under Mayor Barbara Cannon. I worked on that with her. We went around collecting signatures. It got on the ballot. It passed, and we're very proud of that. Then also there was a tract of land that was coming up for development, about nearly 200 acres. And it was an environmental sensitive area, water aquifer. So I got involved and I spearheaded really the acquisition of that through an attorney, obviously, environmental engineer, and a forester. And a group of, in the area where this land was, there was really not many people. And usually the squeaky wheel gets things done. So really it was a group of very small people. But we forged ahead, and it was many years doing it. But I'm happy today that that 200 acres is preserved for open space. Then, as far as being involved with the open space, and I got involved. I was on the planning board for many years. I was on the economic development in town. I am the liaison for the Shade Tree Commission, and also the liaison for the Open Space Commission, and I'm a commissioner on the MUA, the Municipal Utility Authority. And I enjoyed the service, serving the community and being available for the community. And I was elected as a councilwoman in 2016. And I also write a column about animals in All Around Old Bridge, a monthly column. So it's been a pleasure, and I hope to continue.
Well, you talked about my schedule. I don't know how you do that, but I certainly sympathize with the children in the sports. We're doing that now with 3, so we're trying to figure out how to go in 3 different directions at 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock when the bell rings. But Mr. Eric DePalma, our councilman now, please introduce yourself to our audience and let us know a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Eric DePalma. I'm the current Ward 2 council, running at large now. I've been a council person since 2020. From the last well, it was the last presidential election. It's when Mayor Henry won his last election and Mary was the Ward 2 council. They'd asked me, prior to that, I was actually on the redevelopment agency. And I could blame my wife for that, because my wife had told me there was a lot of things going on in Matawan. So where I am in Ward 2, I more or less, my neighborhood buffers Matawan. And there was a lot of building between Matawan and around Aberdeen. And my wife just looks at me and she's like, well, you need to do something about this in our town. So I volunteered myself, I think it was 2016, 2017, to go on to the redevelopment agency. And Mayor Henry appointed me. And then from there, it was just being involved in the redevelopment of the town, looking, the different tracts of land that were up for redevelopment, getting that done. Professionally, I'm a financial services professional. I have over 20 years of financial services experience, whether in operations or in technology. I'm currently a technology executive now. I'm also an adjunct professor at Monmouth University. Took a little hiatus the last 2 semesters. It's just been very busy. I have 2 children, an 11-year-old at Sandburg. I have a 7-year-old at McDivitt. And David, just like you, it's where do we have to go now, whether it's swimming. I came right from a field hockey game today from Sandburg, and they won 3-0 against Piscataway.
Congrats.
So that's a wonderful thing. soccer at the Old Bridge Soccer Club. I coach there. So a lot of things that I like to do in the town. And I've always been a big volunteer, lending time. I really don't like to say all the things that I do. I do that stuff for myself. I don't do that for anybody else. In my neighborhood of Lake Ridge, I'm on the board. So I do spend a lot of time doing my volunteer work, and which lends me to wanting to become a councilman. It's always wanted to leave your town, your neighborhood, everything better tomorrow than it was today, and that's what I look forward to. I look forward to getting things today in better shape so that tomorrow is better than today.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your service, each of you, because as of today, all of you are serving on the council, just seeking re-election in the same or different places. Yep. But I joke with my wife and the kids that we're Ubers without the tips or the 5-star reviews.
I'm sure they love you
David,
very
we're
much.
Ubers that pay.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
True.
So as tonight, we're here to educate Old Bridge Township residents. So we have questions. We have things that are hot topic issues, things that residents are questioning a lot of. Maybe they have an idea of what is going on in town, but this is to get the facts, to get agendas, and to really hear your guys' heart for our town, for Old Bridge Township. Mm-hmm. So as we said earlier, I'll ask a question, and we can talk about who in your group, or you can discuss if you want one person to represent that question with an answer, or if each of you would like to take a shot at it. Okay, so Council President Sohar, since you're sitting closest to me, I'll get you to the first question. But the first question comes: what plans do you have to invest in the various wards? There's a lot of discussion that things happen in center of town, but what about the different wards that are kind of spread all around? How will you make sure that each ward gets appropriate distribution of investments?
Well, I think, David, we have been doing that. We have a long-term plan. And Nicole Shapiro is our engineer. And she has come up with various ways of making sure that each ward is addressed properly. One thing she did was, as far as roads are concerned, they were ranked not by ward, but by the entire town. So what happens is anything that's really in need will be addressed. Each ward will be looked at, but the worst of the roads will be addressed first. So that's how we did those projects. And then as far as capital projects are concerned, they go around and evaluate for drainage projects. They go around and evaluate for everything from basketball courts, which were done this year, Veterans Park. They were done in Lawrence Harbor. They were done throughout the town. Geik Park is going to be done. So we try to look at the town as a whole and try to do that, to try to spread it out and make sure that, as you said, some of the projects are, it just happened Cottrell Farm is here.
Sure.
That's just geographically where it is, and the same thing with the golf course. But as far as projects are concerned, we're doing them across town, and when Nicole goes for grants for the roads, resurfacing, we've done Ticetown Road, we're doing Throckmorton Lane now, we did down in Lawrence Harbor, Lawrence Parkway. So we really do try to keep that in mind when we do our projects.
Wonderful. Would any of you like to add to
Also,
that?
I'd like to add, a lot of people don't see also, not only from what goes on as far as with the administration here, the MUA, the Municipal Utilities Authority, does that also. They do infrastructure projects all over the town. If you can imagine, we're 42 square miles, how much pipe we have under there. It's been there for many years. There's deterioration when there's things being built. Things have to be done. Pumping stations are always done. We're doing a huge project down in Lawrence Harbor now because a lot of those pipes are old. They have to be replaced. The diameter of them needs to be changed. Also, the products have changed for the longevity of it. So the MUA, the Utility Authority, does that also all over the place. And also, just so people know, on Cottrell Road, that project is by the county now, and it's a drainage project, and usually the MUA is involved with that, with design, before it even gets to construction. And that's the problem, that it wasn't. And as Council President Mary Sohar was saying, how we do our roads, usually we have a moratorium. Once you do a road, you're not supposed to dig it up for 5 years. Now, in our town, people have to also realize that some of the roads are county roads. So with Cottrell, that's a county project. They paved it, then they're doing the drainage project now. So the MUA has to come in and realign things, and other utilities. That's what is happening this year throughout the town, where also when the utility, whether it's PSC&G comes in and they say, oh, we have money, we may have done the road, but they say we have the money, we have no choice, we want to do this road now. So we make them pave it again and take care of it. And a lot of times we try to coordinate the projects with the utility companies. So if they're doing their work on one side of the road, we'll make them pave that, and we save money by paving the other. So we're always trying to, we have to work together is what we have to do.
So keeping that in the same vein, the project on Cottrell, county comes in and starts to do that project. How do you coordinate with county officials to lessen impact or no? From what I understand, we have County Road 516, we have Route 9, we have a lot of roads that really aren't ours. So residents get backed up in traffic, they automatically think it's Old Bridge Township. How would you address that as council, getting that word out to folks? And we'll direct this down.
I think it's just keeping an open conversation with the county, keeping a conversation with the state, making sure that we're communicating. Whether it's the council or the mayor communicating, but our engineer, our business administrator, making sure that we're empowering them to have those conversations. Like, don't wait on council to give you the okay. Reach out to them. Make sure that you're having that conversation. Make sure you're getting everything that the township needs in front of them so they understand that. One of the things that's going to happen, in my ward, actually right near my neighborhood, is the bridge that goes over Lake Lefferts, right? So one of the things that they're doing, they're replacing that bridge. From my understanding, that bridge is, the original bridge underneath it is like 100 years old. It's like old rock bridge, and then they've done some improvements, but now it's to the point where they have to replace it. We've done a really good job, and both Monmouth and Middlesex County has done a great job in communicating with us and making sure that not only the council's involved, the engineers involved, but also the residents are involved, making sure that their thought process is in there. Because once they close that road, that's going to cause a big traffic. It's coming down 516. That's a major thoroughfare, folks traversing from Middlesex to Monmouth and back.
You got it.
So making sure that we do have that open conversation and empowering the staff here to get out there and make sure that they're having those conversations. That's the most important thing. As a manager, I've been a manager for 13 years or so in my professional career. It's not about us always making sure that we're doing it. It's making sure that we're empowering our employees to do it. And Mayor Henry's done a phenomenal job, and I think we've done a really good job, being on council and making sure that whether it's Nicole, our engineer, or Vina in planning, and Hamachu, who's now retired as our BA, making sure that they know that we're behind them when they're having those conversations.
All right, great
answer.
answer.
I agree. There should be more communication between the entities when these projects come about. Possibly meetings where what is in your plan for 5 years out, so you can plan ahead. And everyone should, the MUA, needed to be on the design meeting, not pre-construction meeting, on the design meeting with this. So there's always room for improvement, and we'll strive for that. And really, communication is the basis of everything.
Yeah,
That's right.
I think we do a really good job in taking care of that component. I mean, now they're going to be doing bridge work over by Central Park, where the Outback is in that area. They're replacing the bridge. So that's going to cause, again, traffic concerns. So we have already alerted the residents to that. We have the code red that we use if need be for, certain things going on, if something is closed because of flooding, things of that nature. So we do really try to communicate. We'll put it on our page or on Channel 15. We'll put it on our Facebook page, explaining that this is going on, to be aware. And hopefully, the more we do that, the more residents residents will understand what's going on and know that it's not always driven by the township. It is driven by the county or the state.
Right.
So you have to keep that in mind as well.
Yep. And we have state, county, municipal, and private roads.
And private.
Right. So a lot of different entities and people involved. So one thing that a lot of residents will often have a question with, or you see in a lot of paper documents, interviews, is bond ratings. And we understand that Old Bridge is now a
Double A1.
double A1.
Yes.
So what I wanted to do was, first, what is a double A1 rating? And then what does that mean to the everyday resident? Like what does that mean to that family, to that person in an apartment, that we have a bond rating? Yeah. Some people may know, but many don't. Yeah. So what is the rating, and then what does it do to affect everyday lives of residents?
So think of it in credit score, right? It's the easiest way to explain it is the credit score, right? The higher the credit score you have, the easier it is for you to, one, be accepted to get funding, right? Or to receive a loan, and the interest rates, right? So with our township having such a strong bond rating, what it does is not only allows the township to go out and, I don't want to say get cheap money, because and unfortunately at the interest rates right now, there's nothing cheap about money, but we have preferential rates because of that bond rating. Because it's just saying how strong you are financially that you're able to pay it back, right? If you have, think about when you're buying a home, if you're putting 5% down, you're paying that PMI, right? Versus 20% down, right? But even if you're putting 20% down, if you have a 580 credit score versus a 750 credit score or an 800 credit score, what's your rates difference going to be, right? You're going to have a better rate because of your credit rating. And that's in essence what that bond rating does. And that bond rating not only stops at the township, it actually goes across the board as well. So whether it's the school system or even the MUA, it gives us better rates across the entirety if we need to go out and bond something. And that's really the easiest way to describe it. That's how I describe it in my own head, because it just puts it in perspective of what we do on a daily basis.
Well, I think that's very well a very good description that many can understand. So the town can get better financing, access to capital, which then does what for the everyday resident?
Well, actually, what happens when you're a double A1 bond rating, it means that you're doing a good job, in essence, because we've been evaluated by an outside agency, and there's many credentials that they look at. So we're in good financial standing. We're secure. They know, that we have a sound financial system here. So when they evaluate us, just as Eric explained, Mr. DePalma explained, when you go out to do capital projects and you need to borrow money to do them, your interest rate is low in comparative to everything else. Right. And that has helped across the board with the MUA when we do projects. Pumping stations need to be redone all the time, things like that. As far as it helps the school to do projects, road, anything that we do, we get a good percentage on our money. And it allows you're not spending as much to do the same project. So you're saving money is what you're doing. And so we're very proud to have a double A1 bond rating, especially after COVID. And especially, with inflation, we're strong.
Some difficult times.
Yes, we've been good stewards of the tax dollars of the residents here. When you spend your money, we want to give back to the town, and we put a lot of money back into infrastructure every year, improving things throughout all the town, every ward.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and that bond rating is not that easily done. That's not that easy to come by. And we've done it by being structured, by being committed, by living within our means, and making sure that we made good, strong business decisions. It was not like that 12 years ago. And we made sure that we got the best bond rating we could get. There's a thing called best practices, and it outlines what you should be doing. And we're doing everything that should be done. Our auditing gave us no exceptions. We really have put our best foot forward trying to do the best for the town, and I think we have with the bond rating. No one can deny we really have made a positive impact on our bond rating.
Well,
that,
thank
that
you.
was our priority when we got elected to do that. And we have good people in positions that are employees for the town that do it. It's
The residents benefit.
Residents
It's a
benefit
group
from, but it's a
project.
group
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, it
All the
is.
heads, yeah.
So the next question is probably one you assumed was coming your guys' way. All right?
Oh, yeah.
So development. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about development. Unless you have been on a very long vacation in Old Bridge, everyone knows about development, things that are being built, and things that are opening up.
Yeah.
So there's so much in the community, both whether it's in fact or misnomer, about development. Could you please, state the record for the recent warehouses and how that came to be?
Okay. So I sit on the planning board as the council representative. So I was part of those conversations and those multitude of meetings, a couple of years ago. So I think what folks need to understand is the majority of the land, except for the old Board of Ed Nike base, was privately owned by the Bernetti family. The Bernetti family, I believe it was back in the mid to late 90s, went and got approval to build 7,000 to 10,000 units on Route 9.
And units in residential?
Residential units.
Okay.
So that was residentially zoned. All that farmland that everyone loves, and believe me, I do as well, was residentially zoned. And the Bernetti family, I believe the project was Bernetti 2000.
Yeah.
They were set to build that. Now, that was in the mid to late 90s. The town has dramatically changed. Route 9 has dramatically changed, right? When you look at 7,000 to 10,000 homes, and I know one of the big things that are out there is the traffic that comes along with the warehouses. But just think about 7,000 to 10,000 homes on Route 9. The average household has, let's say, 2 cars, 1.5 to 2 cars, right? Let's give average. So 7,000 to 10,000 homes. You're talking about 10 to 15,000 cars getting put onto Route 9, Route 35, Route 36, right? The Garden State Parkway, the New Jersey Turnpike. Think about the congestion that will cause on a regular basis during rush hour, during a Saturday or Sunday, right? Just look, we're in the fall season. Going down Route 9 to go apple picking, pumpkin picking, to go to Casola Farms, go to all those different places. Just think about adding 10, 15% more traffic to that, just from residential units, right? And then the drain on the infrastructure. So the MUA would have to probably repipe untold number for water and the utilities. The electrical grid would have to be upgraded. The schools, right? Just think about all those children now coming into the schools, right? When we went that and the developer wanted to come and put those warehouses, unfortunately, you have to balance what's best for the community. They were building on that land, unfortunately, whether we liked it or not, right? That's private land. We have a specific, like a certain amount of say of, hey, we could change the way the design is, change maybe, okay, well, we don't want all 3-bedroom units. We want to make sure that it's 3-bedroom and 2-bed. It's a mix. But that was already zoned, already had a general development plan. So you'll hear GDP. They had those plans done. And then because of that, we have no recourse to go and say you're not building. So now when this developer came in and wanted to put those warehouses there, we said, okay, well, what can we get as a township? So then you have to look at it. Well, what can you get as a town? Well, what did we get? We got a golf course, right? The developer was slated, I believe, to spend $15 million. He wound up spending $17 million of his own money. Not a single taxpayer dollar went to it on a golf course, right? And you've been there, it's gorgeous, right? But not only just a golf course, we had them add things for not only just golfers, mini golf, driving range. So we had them add that. He donated $100,000 to the Shade Tree Commission. We know we took down trees. 10,000 trees he's donating to wherever we need trees across the town. You know, millions of dollars in infrastructure updates to various roads, right? Trying to connect off of Route 9 to get out of town so we aren't congesting Route 9 with anything, right? You know, you have to look at things pragmatically when you're approving these and you're looking at it, because there was going to be something there, right? I'm sure the three of us up here and anyone listening, if I had the ability to stop and say we're never going to build again in this town, I'm sure we would, right? You want to conserve what you have, but development happens, and it's really just about smart developing. If we would have allowed 10,000 units, how is that a smart plan into our town?
Right. So the ability for the town to have had a developer come in, and instead of having 7,000 to 10,000 homes, we go warehouses. Just playing devil's advocate on the other side, where you see some people say, well, why didn't the town buy it for farmland? Right? And we know that it was private land. They could have done they could have sold it, they could have developed it. Was that even an option?
No. The fact of the matter is, it was privately owned. This happened, the future was dictated many years ago when they allowed one developer, Mr. Brunetti, to buy up so much land in town. So he didn't buy it just to have open space. You know, I mean, that it just didn't happen that way. It is private land. We don't have, and we didn't have a say as far as a private entity selling his land. He did many good things in this town, that it was farmed for a while. So when people saw it being farmed, he leased it out. They thought it was always going to be a farm. The farmer didn't own the land, all that land. But with
sharecropped.
Yeah. But with that said, I do have to say that people don't realize everything that we got. Eric alluded to a few things. I want to say more, that was 830 acres. 430 acres are preserved into open space because of this warehouse. And when they say they don't like warehouses, this is the time, this is what is happening now. There, as far as with stores, there are warehouses. We live on the East Coast near ports. There are warehouses. As far as traffic, he put in over $20 million into road infrastructures. We did that. Okay, through negotiations in the town, we did that. I know there are warehouses that are being built in other towns that have not done this. I know for a fact in East Brunswick. I know in East Round and Sayreville. We have to look at this. We got 430 acres. He said at $100,000 to the Shade Tree Commission, $100,000 to the fire company, $400,000 worth of land that he's donating to the fire company to build another firehouse. Also, as far as $5 million put into COA, because we have COA obligations that we have to pay. And when you think of this, no students. Could you imagine what would happen? We would need the Nike base for another school if these homes were all built, instead of being sold, which was the catalyst for all the for these warehouses. So it would be the infrastructure would have been taxed. The police, the fire department, which now is volunteer, but we are having a lot of paid firemen, but you would have more. That would affect the tax base. We are getting a stream of, think of it as financial security in a sense. There are cash payments that are going to be paid, cash contributions that will really make this town better in the future. Everyone is worried about traffic. First of all, it's not an Amazon. I want to make that clear. It is really, think of it as a storage facility. No trucking company wants their trucks to come in and sit in traffic. Right. The infrastructure's been done. They're going to pick up their goods and go. That's pretty much it. The traffic that we have in this town is because there are towns south of us. People have to get home. They live in Marlborough, Manalapan, Freehold. That's where the traffic's on. So I think we've been good stewards. The administration worked hard through this program to get a lot of things in turn, and this will be continuous cash contributions throughout the year throughout the years that will help it. And also, when you mentioned about the golf course, we didn't put a dime into that. I was there for the ceremony. The people that had the property as a farm were thrilled. that it was a
And that's
golf
the
course.
Rose Lamberson
Yes.
Championship. Yep.
And on top of that, people don't realize we get money every year from the golf course, $100,000. We're not starting.
And it's my understanding that it's another company that's running it. No matter what happens, good or bad that year, it's a $100,000 check to Old Bridge Township.
Contractually obligated.
Right.
And we own the property
The
still.
property is ours.
We own the property.
Well, you touched base on one thing that I want to definitely talk about with the audience and let them hear from you. And it's something that's been flying around town, and I think it's somewhat true, but then there's some clarity that everyone needs on it. And they talk about no taxes are going to be paid on these warehouses. There's no income coming in. So I know where you're going with this right away, but the word pilot program is coming up quite a bit. And I've dropped this, so thank you. All right, so here we go. Yeah, mic drop. All right. So the word pilot program has come up quite a bit. What is the pilot program as it stands now in the state of New Jersey? Can anyone explain exactly what that means?
Eric, you want to take that from
So-
the planning board?
So quickly, pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes.
But there are taxes.
It's a financial contract that they're going to pay us X amount of money per year. It's not that they're not paying us anything. They're not paying the traditional taxes. And the reason that gets done is because when this developer or any developer goes for their loans, right, they need to be able to show what it's going to be over the course of X amount of years, right? So you'll see, it's not only our town, it's pretty much every town that does major developments, and really not even all major developments, it's sometimes even small developments, will go into these pilot programs with the developers, because they have to go to their loan, whether it's AIG, or Bank of America, Chase, or whomever that might be, and say, okay, my project is going to cost $50 million to buy the land, to build the property, but then it's going to be this over time, right? And the way taxes go, whether it's municipal taxes, state taxes, county taxes, school taxes, right? I mean, those fluctuate all the time. There's no way to determine 100% within a range of accuracy and say, I'm going to pay X today, then X plus one, then X plus one, so on and so forth going forward. So what the developers and what their financial partners want is a set schedule saying, okay, we're going to pay this, then we're going to pay, just going forward. And that's why those programs exist. It's because in order to get that type of money, now, and I believe that the developer for the warehouses had the largest private loan in AIG for the past couple of years.
Pretty significant.
Yeah,
Pretty
I would say so,
significant.
right?
It is.
So that's in essence what it is. So it's not that they're not paying us. They're not paying the traditional tax that you and I would be getting our bill in, because
Right,
that's
so-
not able to be, to be guessed at.
Right, and from our research, it looked like what the pilot program really does is it allows a developer and a town to work together, and the developer, in essence, isn't paying a property tax. They're paying this payment, but it's basically all to the municipal tax rate.
Correct.
So is it accurate to say that there's almost $6 million annually that's being produced
That
by
will
the
be
warehouses?
generated. That's what is projected. And already, I think it was $1,250,000 this year, and the administration put $500,000 into an open space trust fund to be earmarked only for acquisition of open space. So with this, when everyone gets excited and says these things, you have to look at also what goes around you. So if you think of Woodbridge, everyone I know goes there and say, oh, they have an amazing like a sports complex. That was paid through a pilot program. Also, if you look at the waterfront in South Amboy, there's pilot programs that attribute this. This is allowing the town, so there's not a burden on the taxpayer, on the residents of our town. In a town, you have to have a balance between commercial for ratables and residential. If it's all residential, your tax is going to go up because, yes, we like a strong police department. You want to be protected. You want to be safe. Your schools, we care very much about education. We want good schools. And also, everything goes up. If a fire, we're going to need more paid firemen. And so people don't realize the burden, it will be on them. The onus will be on them if this happened. And we have tried to do everything to ease all these concerns that people have. And actually, when you drive from the north-south, you barely see that warehouse on the left that's being built. And you know, it will have trees around it. Actually, he even said like some of the warehouse will have like walking trails if you want to walk there. But people, when you see the work that's being done on Cottrell because of the county where they stored all their pipe, everyone's like, oh my gosh, the warehouses. No, you have to have an exit there for fire, for emergency. But I will also say that this warehouse, you won't even notice it. Could you imagine if those houses that live across Cottrell, if they had 10,000 residential units, apartments, and everything behind them, they would hear a lot of things. Once these warehouses are done, I would like to assure them that a berm is up there, fence will be up, and all the planting of the trees, and they'll really hardly notice that it's there.
Wonderful. I know you've been trying to.
Oh, no, I agree. I think Anita's correct in what she's, what she's saying about the warehouses. The only thing I did want to touch upon just briefly, she mentioned the Nike base. And I don't know if all the residents really know what the Nike base was or who owned it and so on.
Yeah, no, that would be great if you could tell us what it was, in fact, where it is, because everyone talks about it, but where it is maybe this enigma. So please.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted, as I said, some of the residents, maybe newer ones, would not know what the Nike base was. I mean, years ago, it literally was a base for missiles. And, it was here in Old Bridge. People used to go, in fact, when the children were young, they used to bring them there to show them the base. And it's right by the warehouse, where the warehouse is going to be. So I know they said it was a small piece of property, someone had said. And honestly, it's 88 acres, David. That's not small. I don't, in my opinion, it's not small. Now that piece was, and this is coming straight from Mrs. DeCaro's, quotes, that it was a critical piece in order to be able to build this warehouse. So I find it rather disingenuous that people are putting out literature saying, we're not for warehouses. Without that piece, that warehouse could not have been built. So you have to realize that there were a lot of people who were involved in the warehouse. It wasn't just one group of people. This land was sold specifically, and that was land, Board of Education land, your land and my land, and that was sold in order to be able to complete this project.
Now, where exactly, if you're going up 9, where exactly is the Nike base?
How do I describe that?
Well, basically, where it was, first of all, is where, and it should be added that it's where the school buses were
now
parked.
It was used for the buses.
It was used for the school buses.
Yeah.
Understood.
On 9.
On 9. And so then when they sold the property, the school buses have to go other places, and we worked with the school also to allow them park on, municipal land. And like you said, Brunetti's property was private. This was public land. Right. And we always said, for us, even when we came into office before, there was public land being sold to plug a budget gap.
Well,
So now, are you for the sale of public land or against the sale of public land?
No,
not
what,
to
David,
solve a budget.
I find it very troubling. It seems to be a pattern is emerging here in Old Bridge in the Democrat Party. And the mantra is, if you go into financial difficulty, sell public property. 12 years ago, before we came into, I was there, but before we came into office, Mayor came into office, under Mayor Phillips' administration, they sold a piece of land to the MUA to plug a budget gap. Now, if you listen now, Mrs. DeCaro said they needed the money to plug a budget gap. So this is very troubling to me, because my fear is that if they become in charge of all of this, the minute something goes wrong, are you going to sell more of our property? You know, things come along. You have to be able to deal with these, you know, a crisis. Say COVID, for instance. Who would have ever thought that COVID was coming?
Right. Yep.
So when you get into those kind of problems, do you just immediately say, oh, let's sell a piece of property? I hope not.
My concern for it, it's not a reoccurring
Right.
stream of for finance. It's not
one
reoccurring.
shot.
It's a one-shot revenue. You sell the land. Did you solve the problem?
Right.
Is that you have to solve the problem, or how did you get to this problem?
So one of the discussion points that come up is issues with the state removing funds from the school system, and that it was kids, it's teachers, it's jobs. So what would you state is your response to it was done for the betterment of school, for kids, for programs?
Well, from my understanding of how these revenues work, is that doesn't stop you from having to lay somebody off. That specific type of revenue that can't go to operational expenses, if I'm not mistaken. So
Great.
you can't just say, okay, well, I have to, if I want to lay off teachers, or I don't, but if I don't have to lay off teachers, I don't have to do this. If I sell this piece of land, you can't use that money in this budget cycle and put it to that. Like that's not, I mean, all the stuff that we do has to get sent to the state, right? So all of our budgeting, all of that stuff has to go and it gets approved by the state, and then you go through the entire year, and then you have your set budget. One-shot revenues are never a good thing, right? It's like you give your child $20. Once that $20 is gone, they want another $20 because they don't know, they're not budgeting right? All you're doing is fixing or enabling bad habits, because I have something over here that I'm able to help you out with, but you're enabling something. And if you're enabling, that's not helping a crisis, right? And selling public land, it's not my land, right? It's all of ours. It's the townships, it's the residents. The residents should have a say, in my opinion, as to what happens with the land that they own, right? It's like going, if your next door neighbor and you share a piece of property, right? And they sell it out from under you, shouldn't have you had a say in that? I feel the same way.
Right. We even thought about this collectively when we discussed the selling of land. And we thought, perhaps that should have been put up for referendum to the public. Do you want to sell this piece of property? I mean, this is very, very troubling. You're not going to get any more land, David.
They're not making it in Old Bridge, that's for sure.
No, they're not. And then the funding formula, from what we were told, there was a drop in enrollment in the schools, yet the funding stayed the same. So there wound up being, a gap there of money. And that's not a good thing either. So you have to be able to live within your means. If that money wasn't meant for you, then it should have been addressed.
Sure.
I just think, absolutely. I just don't think the numbers were accurately accounted for. There wasn't accurate accounting for the amount of students that we have. The enrollment has dropped significantly. So if you're accounting for saying, oh, we have 10,300 kids and we have 8,600, you took this money, they said, oh, we couldn't send it back. No, you put it aside, and I'm sure if a check was sent back to the state, you would. So right now,
I don't think Trenton's ever sent money back.
No, I don't think so either.
So the governor, for doing this, I mean, sometimes it's shocking to me. They want to be forgiving and everything. I think there should have been planned. Listen, this is what happened. We're going to give you this many years, or we're going to forgive this, but this going forward, this is your budget now. And I think that was a problem too. Because I remember the budget was already approved, and then a month later they get the notice for that. So when you talk about not working well with the state and the state not paying attention to you, and that's why I have concerns. with the state as well as that.
Sure. Well, thank you. We hit some of the development questions. We've got a little bit more time, so we'll keep moving right along here. So, one of the big things that residents in general look to the township for are services. So, do you have any plans to improve or upgrade any services for the residents coming into the new budget years?
Well, first of all, I think we've done a phenomenal job with services. Even, with the budget that we have, we've been stable with our budget. In fact, in spite of COVID and inflation, our services have gone up. We have a phenomenal senior center with so many programs all over town. The things that we're doing on every park, so there's something available for someone, whether it's from cricket ball, cricket in the 6th ward, we have that, to the new baseball fields that we're having made. We even put it in for special needs playground at Geik Park, which is very much needed. We're grateful that that was accomplished. So, in the sports, that's what I'm so excited when I go around town. When I drive past the soccer fields, and I see them, so they're packed. Yeah. I love it. When I walk into the, drive into the municipal complex, and I, see people outside, I get excited. I said, I'm so happy that people are out doing things. We're going to put new things in also, as far as.
What are some of those new things?
So we're getting bocce ball courts. We're always approached, lacrosse is a very, very big growing. We put also for the township. That's how we work with the school. We put the artificial turf that's used between Geik Park and the high school. We put artificial turf in that's used for lacrosse, soccer, field hockey. Mm-hmm. So, we go around, see what needs to be done, and we'll address this. Like, there's so many things in Lawrence Harbor, as far as the community center that's coming there. If people watch the council meeting, the architect drawings from that. So it's not just one ward. There's specific things in each ward, yes, but we do address, what needs to be done in each ward. And I think there's a lot of things that for your kid, if they want to do anything.
Oh, sure.
There's stuff going on all the time. I'm busy running around, visiting everybody. I'm like, how do they do this,
So there's a lot going on,
yes.
That's for sure.
There is.
It's wonderful.
It is a good place to have a family.
Yes, it is. Our senior center is award-winning.
Award-winning, yeah.
Our director, Anna Feltz, went to Washington. She was invited to the White House to speak on her programs and what she does. She even now teaches foreign language. So when you get to that center, it is so vibrant. And we were there Saturday. They had a fair. They were giving out massages. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And we have upped the services for seniors a lot. We really have.
How old do you have to be to get there and get a massage? What's going on here?
We got a while.
You got grayer hair than me, buddy.
They have a dance group that goes down to Atlantic City, that competed in Atlantic City.
That's amazing.
So
we
great.
Really are. And then we also, by doing that, it doesn't always cost more. We have a phenomenal grant program that they use. Anna, Nicole, all of them. And Anna got over $250,000 this year in grant money for that senior center. So this is the good balance.
Going to good use.
Because you are getting more, but it's not on the taxpayer, all that grant money. She put in all computerized systems. It is phenomenal. And this is how we also try to think out of the box a little bit. You can't always keep going to the resident. You try to do things, with the grant money. There's a lot of grant money out there. And it's yours and mine, and we're really utilizing it. But the one thing, and I'll end it, I will say is that we won't promise what we can't do or what is maybe perhaps very expensive. That would be something we'd have to look into. People promise a lot of things. You hear that word bulk pickup everywhere you go. Well, from the things we've gotten back, it shows it's extremely expensive. Will we try to find better? Yes, maybe we can. But we're not going to say, I'm giving you this, you can't do that. You have to say what you can do.
Well said. Well said. Thank you.
They even had a senior prom at the senior center.
That's pretty nice.
See,
I like
a
that.
lot of
I
pictures.
triggered something.
I like that. All right, so let's move on to some other things here. So we have with a new mayor that is going to be elected. The new mayor is going to have an opportunity to select their team. Business administrator, perhaps legal, economic development, things of that nature. And as was mentioned earlier, our former business administrator has retired. So would the council be involved in the BA search? Would you support the mayor in the BA search? How is that going to go for us as residents and business owners?
I mean, I think as a business owner, right, as an executive, as myself, you have to build a team that you trust, right? And I think Debbie has started that with the three of us, right? Obviously, Mary and Dr. Belli being counsel at large already, bringing me on, having a team that she already trusts. So obviously, we know that she has good taste, right? I joke, but having her spearhead that, right? And I think Councilwoman Walker has been phenomenal in bringing us into a lot of the conversations that we're having. Like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that? I don't think she's going to be making anything in a bubble, because I think making a decision of that magnitude in a bubble is not the best thing, right? As a business owner, to just go out and say it's my way or the highway, it's typically going to be the highway for your business, right? And I know when I make hiring decisions or procurement decisions, whatever that is, I don't make that decision alone. I make that with the team of folks I have around me, the folks that I've either inherited and learned and loved to trust, or the folks that I brought on myself. And I think Debbie is looking to do that. She won't make stuff in the bubble. It will be a collaborative effort. And I think that's the one thing that's going to be great, is because there's various levels of experience, right? Anita has a business for 30 plus years. Mary, people could say what you want about a diner. Have you ever worked in a restaurant business? Have you ever ran a restaurant? That's probably one of the toughest things ever, right?
A motor vehicle.
I have the financial services experience and even the service experience. Having that and having those differing opinions, it'll get a lot of healthy debate between us and making sure that we're getting the right person, not just for today, but for tomorrow as well.
That's great. Thank you. One of the things we discussed in the mayoral debate was our history, and that being one of agriculture, farming. And all three of you know that I love farming, and our family has a small little farm that has really become a big part of our lives and our kids' lives. So with only a handful of farms left in our town, how do you as a council plan to come alongside them and help them, or help preserve perhaps some of that land?
Well, it's true. Farming is not easy. It's 365 days. I have a small farm a year. I have a small farm too. My animals need to be fed every day.
Morning
rain,
and night. Yeah.
sunshine or snow.
Yeah.
They're going to get taken care of. So it really is, it's a farming community. I'm friends with most people that have farms in this town. I know them very well, and I admire them, and I see the labor that they put into it, and they love it. And so you do want to help them in any way that they can. And I always try to promote their business all the time. And this is what happens a lot of times. So they have farmers. I want people to patronize their farm stands, whether it's fruit, vegetables, plants, whatever it is. People have got very convenient. They'll go to the big block stores, and you shouldn't do that. If you love your farmers and you're saying you want your farmers in your town, you have to support your farmers. And, literally, I know that if they have any problems, I would hope that they would come to us and we would talk to it and see how it's done. Land, even for them, they're not building any more land. I know some other farmers use different open space tracts that other people own, different places throughout the town. So there's a networking above them. Plus, we know a lot of families from the from the farms. We're members of the Historical Society,
Yes, we
so
are.
we know the history of
Great.
it and how important it is for the community. The sad thing is, in schools now, people aren't telling their kids to go in agriculture. You know?
Yeah.
You know, the other thing is with the state, they have a farmland preservation that they do. The problem with it, and we'd like to really address it with the state, is that it's not really realistic what they offer a farmer
Right.
for their property. So the state will say, I'll give you $5 million. A developer comes along and says, I'll give you 20. What are you going to do? What's right is right. You've spent your whole life in this. If your family does not want to follow in your footsteps, you want to leave your family what you truly feel is worth what you did all your life. So it's so unrealistic that it's very hard to get people to say okay to farmland preservation.
Look, I agree. I think that it's a very romantic idea
Yeah.
to leave your land, but present it with that disparity in what you're offered versus what you can leave as a legacy.
Right.
You're going to be hard pressed to find many people that are going to take the latter.
Exactly. It has to be more, it does. It has to be more reasonable. I'm not saying it could be penny for penny, but it can't be that much of a disparagement. People are not going to do that.
It's not. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Listen, we all like farmland. We all like open space. When you drive by, it even just makes you feel good to see it,
pretty.
But it has to be realistic about it. There could be a situation where farmers, they passed on, their kids are in different states. They're not coming back to farm the
it's
land.
hard-
So
it's a
you
hard
need a
occupation.
reality. But
Yeah.
that's why, hopefully with the Open Space Trust Fund, that, we will be able to at least, offer,
If we have the opportunity as a township to purchase land using the Open Space Trust Fund, I know we will. Right? If we have that opportunity and we have the fund and the funding to do so, I can't see anyone that sits up on council saying no. Right? Why would you want to allow something to go to development when we could take it and do something better with it?
So long as you can be competitive in your offer.
competitive.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
At the end of the
And
day,
it
you
is
have
down
to
to
be able to
money.
provide a market rate offer to
Yeah,
somebody.
something
Now,
reasonable.
a farmer might say, I want it to stay in the town. But if it's worth 20 and we offer you 5, how is that? If it's within arm's distance.
Unless they were a really successful farmer and they got a lot of cash.
Yes,
right? Then it's a
Then
different
you
ball of
can
wax.
know.
But
you
the
know.
sad thing, everything costs so much now.
It does.
Even
It
you
does.
know.
So we're getting right near the end. I think we have about 1 or 2 more questions left. Let our producer give me the nod. Okay. So we'll try to run through these pretty quickly because we want to give each of you an opportunity to conclude with some concluding announcements and speak to the audience. But one thing is the construction process. So we know that that's also one of those kind of gripes that families, residents, business owners, whether they're investing in the town, they're trying to do an addition, maybe improvement on their property. What or how will you address concerns coming from the construction department?
I think looking at it as a service, right? So if we're in the service industry, whether it's construction, finance, or whatever, we provide services to the residents, right? And I think it's starting to instill that across the board to everybody, right? Because customer service and great customer service is really what it's at, right? If you're a successful business owner, you do not get successful by treating your clientele not the best that you can, right? And I think that's what we have to strive for, and I think we've made a lot of leaps and bounds from years and years ago. I think the horrors of the 90s are starting to dwindle. Yes, are we perfect? Absolutely not. Will we ever be perfect? No, because people aren't perfect. But it's getting better day over day. And I think making sure that we hear what the residents are saying, what the business owners are saying, and bringing it to our the business administrator, bringing it to our department heads, and saying, this is what we're hearing. how can we fix? How can we change? How can we make this a better opportunity to deliver world-class customer service to our residents? Because I think that's where it's at. It's delivering a world-class customer service to the residents, because they may not always like the answer, but sometimes we are restricted by what the state makes us do.
And I was just going to say, this isn't about allowing, things to fly that aren't safe or non-permitted.
No.
You do those things, you're going to feel the pain from that. But the service-oriented aspect is I think a big component. So
I think that is, obviously things are with state code that they have to follow, the inspectors, but also, as you said, customer service is very important. And a lot of times people are intimidated by the permit process, and so maybe there could be a way to help them streamline things. They don't understand it, what they need, be available, so they understand the process. And then once it's done, there should be a schedule, like a timeline, not that so much time goes by between one project, where it's going to be inspected to another if you're building a house or something like that. So or projects in the house. The timeline is very important, schedule.
Right, and I think it is time to reevaluate and look what, maybe there are improvements that can be made and not, rather easily. So we're going to reach out maybe to other towns and see what model they use. And sometimes you can get good ideas and maybe share services for different things so that you have more staff, things like that. I mean, you have professionals that are plumbers, electricians, and so on. Maybe we could do something of a shared service, or have somebody per diem, so that we can get moving a little faster and help with the situation, So we are open to suggestions, and hopefully we could. But as we said, you have to do what's right. You have to do what's safe.
That's right.
But customer service, absolutely. If anything, that's my forte.
That's it. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out, telling us about your thoughts, your passion for Old Bridge. You can tell it. We are so grateful that you were able to answer some of these questions, answer them straightly, not backing down from any of it. You answered all the questions. You made my job, so it was very easy tonight. Just had to ask a couple questions and throw in a quick smirk every now and then. But as promised, we want to give everyone an opportunity to speak to the voters, the audience. Let them hear this final call to action for the vote. And last time we started with you, Councilwoman Sohar, Councilwoman Dr. Anita Greenberg Belli. Why don't you kick us off with your closing remarks?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you. It's been a privilege to serve you these past 8 years, since 2016. Our commitment is to the residents of the town, to the taxpayer, to make this town the best that it could possibly be. Good quality of life, good police protection, the services that you need, and also to keep the tax base down. We've done a great job with that. If you look at your tax bill, we've gone down 1.09% in spite of COVID and inflation. We only take care of the municipal tax. So I'm urging you this election day, whether you vote by mail, early voting, or on election day, to please come out and vote for column B. Remember, B for the best. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
That was good. I liked it. Very creative. So you're the marketing arm of the group.
Yes,
all right.
yes.
All right. Councilman Eric, why don't you close us out?
So, David, thank you for doing this.
Pleasure.
I know taking time out of, one, your business, and most importantly, your family. Right? I get it, having children as well, sometimes juggling. So God bless your wife today, who's probably running around crazy with the 3.
As she is. If you heard my phone buzzing, that's my wife, so apologize.
The one thing I would say is, so 14 plus years ago when my wife and I moved to Old Bridge, it was a pretty long process of us trying to find the home. It was 2008, 2009 when we were looking. I remember when we first walked into our development, my wife told me, this is where I want to live. And I said, Old Bridge? Madawan? She's like, no, I want to live in this development. So we had 315 houses to choose from when they went on sale. But from that time, we chose to move here because this is where we wanted to raise our family, right? Whether it was the school, the community, the proximity to so much, right? It's, so for me, it's not about, what it was then. It's what it's going to be in the future. Because at the end of the day, I'm here for the long haul with my children. My children go to the Old Bridge schools, right? They swim for the Old Bridge YMCA. They play sports in town. It's looking to give back to the community that has given me so much. When my wife and I got married, we moved here. We fell in love with everything that was about Old Bridge. Getting involved in the township, I joke that it was my wife pushing me towards it, but it was not. It was partly that, but it was also wanting to make this community better. And that's when I was asked to be a council person and then run for council now. It's wanting and knowing that I'm able to help, and not just for my needs and my future or my children's future, but for everybody, for all the folks that know me, and whether it's in my community, the folks that are in my ward today. Typically, you pick up the phone and call me. I'm answering. If I'm not, I'm calling you right back, because I know that on the other end of that is a customer, right? Is a resident. I look at everything as customer service. My COO would be so proud of me right now for talking about this. But I do look at it that way, because it's getting folks what they need when they need it, right? And then setting that up so that the bad that is today, we turn into a good in the future. So if we know there's problems with the roads, come to us. Like we had an issue with a road a couple of years ago on Fella Drive. The roads it was called alligator cracking, but very bad. We were able to get that done that year because we had excess money because of our budgeting, right? We would have never known if someone didn't call, but they called, we went down, we sent our thing. Those are the things that I like to be able to do, to be able to positively affect my neighbors, my town. That's what I love about doing this, right? I would do this for free. I would do this all day, every day, right? I actually prioritize this a lot of times over a bunch of other things, because I do enjoy helping so much, right? And it's not only me, it's my wife as well. She loves the fact that we're able to help the community as much as we can. I talk to my wife a lot about, like, Mary's past, about her husband was a council person and then she became a council person. She loves that. The fact that the roots were put in and they stayed in. And that's what I'm here for. My roots are here, my roots are staying here. They're unfortunately for the town, there's no getting rid of them. But no, thank you very much. I just hope that the folks that have seen how I act, how I make decisions, come November 7th, that when they do go to the polls, that reflects positively on their vote.
Well, thank you, Councilman Eric DePalma. We appreciate your closing remarks and for you being here as well from your babies.
Yes.
Council President Mary Sohar.
Okay, I guess I will finish.
Please address your voters
Yes,
and the township.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to thank the residents for allowing me to represent you for the last 14 years. It's been a very special time for me. And I really want you to know that all the decisions that I make are made with you in mind. We are neighbors. We see each other all the time. I think it's important that you understand I'm here for you for the right reasons. I try to reach out to everyone as much as I can. If you have a problem, you know I'm here for you. I think all the different initiatives we've started have been very positive. I try to really think about where we're going here in town, and I think we are going in a positive direction. I'm really hopeful for the future, and I hope that you trust me again to represent you for the next 4 years. I will do my best. I will treat everything the way I would treat you. So please, if you come out and vote, please vote for column B. I think Councilwoman Debbie Walker will make a great mayor, and I think that Mayor Henry will make a great senator. So please come out and vote column B.
Well, once again, on behalf of Old Bridge TV and myself as your host, David Hernandez, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. Councilwoman Sohar, Councilwoman Dr. Anita Greenberg-Belli, and Councilman Eric DePalma. We thank you guys so much for being out here.
No, thank you, David.
Thank
it
you.
was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
It was a
enjoyed
pleasure.
it.
Thank
We
you.
enjoyed
Thank you.
it.
And that concludes our thought-provoking discussion with the at-large Republican candidates of Old Bridge Township. I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mary Sohar, Anita Greenberg-Belli, and Eric DePalma for their participation and willingness to share their ideas and vision for our beloved community. I'd also like to express appreciation for the hardworking team of Old Bridge TV for making this program possible. Their dedication to keeping our community informed and engaged is truly commendable. As we come to the end of this program, I want to remind all of our viewers that the power to shape the future of Old Bridge lies in your hands. Remember, you exercise your right to vote beginning October 28th by voting early, in person, by mail, or on Election Day, November 7th. Your vote matters as it directly impacts the very community, neighborhood, and street you call home. By casting your vote, you contribute to the vibrant tapestry of local government and help shape policies and decisions that will affect the daily lives of each and every resident. So make a difference and let your voice be heard by voting. I hope you found this discussion enlightening and inspiring. May our community continue to prosper and thrive. I'm your host, David Hernandez Jr., and thank you for watching.